Tonight we discuss the pronunciation behind three key brand names. We get to understand some insights behind how these names came about, and we make sure that you are still sounding legitimate when you discuss sneakers. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Soul Knowledge, the home of the sneaker story and the home of sports culture insights. I'm your host Bernie Wickham and I am the sneaker evangelist. The reason I've decided to tackle this topic is because of the conversations that I've had with sneakerheads locally and abroad. And I have seen that there is a fair amount of inconsistency in the way brands have been pronounced, and also a couple of comments that have been left in the comment section of Soul Knowledge where people are saying the way that I pronounce certain brand names are incorrect. So look, I've also done a bit of homework. I've tried to understand it as best I could, and this is a summary of my findings. At the end of this, you could decide to do what you want to do. You can still call these brand names exactly what you do. But I'm trying to just get rid of as much ignorance as I can around the situation. You can decide to just hold on to your path. But should help you just make up your mind on what it's actually called so that you at least nail your colors to the authenticity of the pronunciation. Let's see what we've got. The first brand that we're going to be dealing with is this one over here. And in many of my conversations that I've had with folk, I've heard it being referred to as Nike. And when people who refer to this brand as Nike have conversations with me, they commonly say to me, Bernie, what if you took this four-letter word, N-I-K-E, took the N away and replaced it with a letter B? What do you get? And obviously, since we're all speaking English, it makes so much sense that the word is bike. But within the context of this name, we need to remember that Nike is actually a name given to the Greek goddess of victory. This is from ancient Greek mythology, and that is where the pronunciation actually comes from. It is not an English word, it is an ancient Greek word. Therefore, Nike makes sense. And because we need to pay homage to just the origins of the word, the pronunciation has to stick. So not Nike, but Nike. It is kind of like looking at this brand over here and referring to it as Givenchy. But because it's a French name, it is actually Givenchy. Now, as a side note, did you know that all Olympic medals that are handed to the victors have actually got the Greek goddess of victory on the back of those medals, the winged goddess, because of the victory. So every single Olympic medal has got Nike at the back of it. Now you know. So just as a helpful aid, I've included a soundbite of the co-founder of Nike, a guy by the name of Phil Knight, to just weigh in on his pronunciation of the brand. See what you think.
Great to be home, but I couldn't help but be really pleased to see the Dean wearing a business suit and Nike shoes showing.
The second brand which has caused a fair amount of stickiness around its name is this one over here. Now, we've got to remember that the guy who founded this brand is the guy who used his own name to name the brand. His name is Adolf Dassler. Now, you need to remember that his nickname is Addy. And what he did was he took his nickname and the first half of his surname and put the two together, hence coming up with a brand named Adidas. Now, the other pronunciation that I have heard is Adidas. Now, Adidas would make sense if the guy's name was Adidasler, but that's not the case. And that's why in hearing it again, Adolf Dassler, Adidas, makes a lot more sense. Adidas as a brand. Now, you may not want to take that from me, but maybe this would be more helpful if you listen to the current CEO of the brand and listen to his pronunciation. This is Kasper Rosted. Maybe I pronounced that one incorrectly, who knows. But listen to him pronounce the brand. Tell me what you think.
Hey, I'm Kasper. I work at the Adidas HQ here in Herzogenaurach.
Now, would you believe it that the last of these three brands is the one that causes the most contention out of all of them? This one over here. Now, this guy is the brother to Adolf Dassler. This is Rudolf Dassler. Real story, real brothers, Germany. Bit of a fallout, started two different companies. Now, it's a pity Rudolf didn't take Adi's advice by just going with something like Rudolf Das as a brand. He didn't go that route. He chose to name his brand after a cat. Now, here's where the tension settles in. Is it Puma or is it Puma? Puma or Puma? Now, there's two places I turn to actually get this right. First, I asked myself, what does the current brand CEO refer to the brand himself? Let's hear it from a guy by the name of Bjorn Gulden. Maybe I pronounced that incorrectly as well. But let's hear what Bjorn, CEO of Puma's got to say.
Hello, Puma friends.
A second source I decided to consult on this, just in case you guys were not happy with just one guy's opinion, was that of Sir David Attenborough. Now, you may know him as being the legend from the BBC documentaries on animals. And I just thought, let's just hear what David refers to this animal as.
Guanaco, a relative of the camel. 2 meters tall and over 3 times the weight of a puma.
Now, for this reason, I have called this brand Puma. That seems to be the one that makes sense. And there are certain pronunciations on how this brand changes across the world, but the most common and the one that is most reliable is Puma, not Puma. So you decide how you want to skin this cat, but at the end of the day, I'm holding on tight to Puma. Just one thing I want to end off for this episode in summary is knowing this. All of these brands produce footwear that exists across the entire world. The entire globe has embraced them. And as a result of that, you get these brands exposed to many different cultures, many different languages, and many different accents. So we need to make sure that when we hear other people speak about these brands and they pronounce them, we've got to have a fair amount of grace in understanding that there are differences that just happen in dealing with this kind of commodity. Global Village, one single love, which means we have to be a lot more tolerant of one another in the space. So I trust that you guys will apply that grace to everybody, and that you've learned something new about these brands, their pronunciations, and that you can take that home with you and knowing that your soul knowledge has gone up one more level. As always, I enjoy spending the time with you, and I look forward to next week, which is our season finale for season 4. A lot of love. As always, a pleasure.